The year was 1975, Saigon was falling, the Vietnam War was nearing its chaotic end. Amidst the turmoil, a U.S. Navy captain faced a heart-wrenching decision. Captain Larry Chambers, commander of the USS Midway, found himself caught between duty and compassion. Orders dictated one course of action, his conscience demanded another. Captain Chambers had a responsibility to his crew and his country. He also had a duty to uphold the highest ideals of humanity. This was a moment that would test his courage and define his legacy. The fate of a desperate family rested on his shoulders. The radio crackled with urgent transmissions. The flight deck of the USS Midway was a scene of controlled chaos. Helicopters, packed with evacuees from the collapsing South Vietnamese government, were landing and departing in rapid succession. Each arrival brought harrowing tales of escape and the looming threat of capture. The situation was dire, but amidst the chaos, a small single-engine Cessna aircraft appeared on the horizon. It was an anomaly in a sky filled with military helicopters. This was no ordinary aircraft. It carried the hopes and dreams of a family clinging to life. Major Buang-Ly, a South Vietnamese Air Force pilot, knew time was running out. Saigon was on the verge of being overrun by the North Vietnamese army. He had served his country bravely, but now faced an impossible choice: stay and face almost certain imprisonment, or flee with his family into an uncertain future. Buang-Ly looked at his wife and 5 children. Their faces were etched with fear and uncertainty. He knew he had to act quickly. He loaded his family into his Cessna Bird Dog, a small, single-engine observation plane woefully inadequate for the task at hand. With a heavy heart, Buang-Ly took to the skies. He navigated through the crowded airspace, dodging American helicopters and desperate South Vietnamese aircraft. His destination, the USS Midway, a beacon of hope in a sea of despair. He had no guarantee of being granted sanctuary, but he refused to give up. As he circled the USS Midway, Buang-Ly dropped a handwritten note from his cockpit. It was a desperate plea for help, a message in a bottle tossed into the vast ocean. The note read, "Can you move the helicopters to the other side of the deck? I can land on your runway. I can fly for 1 hour more. We have enough time to move. Please rescue me. Major Buang, wife and 5 children." The note found its way to Captain Chambers on the bridge. He read it slowly, his brow furrowed with concern. The request was unprecedented. Allowing a small, unknown aircraft to land on the crowded deck of an aircraft carrier was fraught with risk. It could jeopardize the entire evacuation operation. His orders were clear: prioritize the evacuation of American personnel and designated South Vietnamese allies. The Cessna and its occupants did not fit into either category. To make matters worse, the flight deck was already operating at maximum capacity. There was simply no space for a fixed-wing aircraft to land. Chambers reread the note, each word a hammer blow to his conscience. Wife and 5 children. Those 3 words echoed in his mind. He thought of his own family, safe and sound back home. He thought of the chaos and terror consuming Saigon. He thought of the human beings trapped in a desperate situation. Captain Chambers made a decision. It was a decision that defied his orders and went against all conventional wisdom. He would grant Major Buang-Ly and his family sanctuary aboard the USS Midway. He would clear the deck for the Cessna to land, even if it meant sacrificing valuable equipment. The order went out: push them off! Helicopters, some brand new and worth millions of dollars, were shoved over the side of the carrier into the South China Sea. It was a dramatic and costly decision, but to Chambers, it was the only morally acceptable choice. The crew of the USS Midway sprung into action. Sailors and Marines worked feverishly, their movements precise and urgent. Each helicopter pushed overboard represented a financial loss, but also a symbol of hope for the families circling overhead. Space was being created for a desperate family's survival. Section 5. A Sea of Relief. Touchdown on the USS Midway. With the flight deck cleared, Major Buang-Ly guided his Cessna toward the USS Midway. The sight of the small plane approaching the massive aircraft carrier was surreal. The tension on the bridge was palpable. A collective gasp of relief swept through the crew as the Cessna touched down safely. Buang-Ly brought his aircraft to a stop, his heart pounding in his chest. He had defied the odds. He had escaped the clutches of the enemy. Most importantly, he had secured the safety of his family. As he climbed out of the cockpit, he was met with cheers and applause from the crew of the USS Midway. Tears streamed down Buang-Ly's face as he embraced his wife and children. They were safe. They were alive. They had been given a second chance at life thanks to the compassion and courage of Captain Larry Chambers and the crew of the USS Midway. Section 6. Echoes of Courage. Reflections on a Pivotal Moment. Years later, Captain Chambers, by then a retired Rear Admiral, reflected on his decision. "It was the most gut-wrenching decision I ever made," he admitted, "but it was the right decision. We had a moral obligation to help those in need, regardless of the cost." Marine Major Jerry Berry, who played a pivotal role in the evacuation of Saigon, echoed Chambers' sentiments. "It was a testament to the human spirit," Berry remarked. "Even in the midst of chaos and despair, there were those who were willing to risk everything to save others." The story of the daring rescue on the USS Midway stands as a powerful reminder of the importance of compassion, courage, and the enduring value of human life. It is a story that continues to inspire and resonate even 50 years after the fall of Saigon. Section 7. The Legacy of USS Midway, a Beacon of Hope. The USS Midway, once a vessel of war, now serves as a floating museum in San Diego, California. It stands as a testament to the bravery and sacrifice of those who served in the Vietnam War. The story of Major Buang-Ly's dramatic rescue is prominently featured, a reminder of the humanity that unfolded amidst the chaos of those final days. Visitors to the museum often pause at the exhibit dedicated to the rescue. They listen intently to the story, their faces etched with a mixture of awe and admiration. For many, it is an emotional experience, a reminder of the enduring power of hope and compassion. The legacy of the USS Midway extends far beyond its physical presence. It lives on in the hearts and minds of those who witnessed its history firsthand, and those who continue to be inspired by its stories. It is a legacy of courage, compassion, and unwavering dedication to the preservation of human life. Section 8. Lessons in Leadership, Courage in the Face of Adversity. The story of Captain Chambers' decision to rescue Major Buang-Ly and his family offers profound lessons in leadership. It highlights the importance of moral courage, the willingness to make difficult decisions, even when facing overwhelming pressure to conform. Chambers' actions demonstrate that true leadership is not defined by rank or position, but by a deep-seated commitment to ethical principles. It is about recognizing the inherent worth of every human life and acting accordingly, even when it means defying orders or challenging the status quo. The events aboard the USS Midway serve as a timeless reminder that leadership is not about self-preservation, but about serving a cause greater than oneself. It is about making a difference in the lives of others, even when it requires extraordinary acts of bravery and compassion. Section 9. A Lasting Tribute, Honoring the Spirit of Humanity. 50 years have passed since the fall of Saigon, yet the story of the daring rescue on the USS Midway continues to resonate. It is a story that transcends time and place, speaking to the very core of what it means to be human. In a world often marred by conflict and division, the story of the USS Midway serves as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit has the capacity for extraordinary acts of kindness and compassion. As we remember the events of the Vietnam War, let us also remember the lessons learned and the sacrifices made. Let us honor the legacy of those who served with courage and compassion, and let us strive to build a world where such acts of humanity are not the exception, but the rule.